Hey everybody, Vince Salerno here. I just want to make a quick disclaimer before we get into this week's episode of the Vince Salerno podcast. I know that the Han Solo trailer is already out. We already know when it's going to debut. We already know that the movie's officially coming out in May, all that jazz. We recorded this episode, I think, in January or December, not knowing any of this stuff was going to happen. Obviously, this whole episode is a bit delayed. It's a Christmas episode I did with Rose. But the main takeaway is that this is the first official podcast episode I'm doing with Rose Deighton, who I'm just ecstatic to work with on these episodes. She's got some great insights on story, on film, on Star Wars. I love working with her. She's a great friend of mine. So I'm really excited about that. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we weren't in the dark when Han Solo, the news about the trailer came out. We know about it now. This was recorded months before all that, so just want to let you guys know. Anyways, thanks for watching this and enjoy episode 28 of the Vince Salerno podcast. Peace out. And then just talk loud.
Okay, sounds good. I think I have a natural, loud voice.
Yeah, it's all good. This is the Vince Salerno podcast, episode 28. On this belated Christmas episode, I'm joined by my good friend, Rose Deighton, who is here to discuss with me our favorite Christmas movies of all time. Also, we're talking about Solo, a Star Wars story, the director's switch-up, when we'll expect a trailer, and whether the film will move from its summer release date to a December release date. So, sit back and relax and have a jolly good time because the Vince Salerno podcast starts right now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Vince Salerno podcast, episode 28? I think it's 28. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. You guys know what episode it is. But we're recording this on January 2nd, 2018, the first official podcast episode of 2018. Most of you guys will notice that I released the Prince of Egypt musical review discussion. Before this, that wasn't really an official 2018 episode. I recorded that in October 2017 with J.J. Schindler, Shelby Turner, Gabe Moore. But that's there if you guys want to check that out. This is the first official 2018 episode. Sorry for being so dormant during September, October, November, December. I'll have to explain all that in a different video, but it's just not a good time to record podcasts. Let's just put it that way. Well, of course, I'm your host, Vince Salerno. I'm joined today by another special guest. I think we're like 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 or some ridiculous number. It's incredible. It's cool. I didn't expect to have this many special guests in such a short amount of time, but this is a very special one because I've been teasing it for a long time, getting this person onto the podcast, discussing some stuff. She's a very good friend of mine. She has helped me with screenplays, reviewing Star Wars movies, talking Star Wars movies with me when no one else will. But I guess I could build you up all day. But it's Rose Deighton. She's finally on the podcast.
Hi, everybody.
So I guess I've already kind of built up what you've done over the past couple videos. But just tell everybody else what you do specifically in art.
Yeah, I attend University of Iowa, so I'm a English and creative writing major, so I do a lot of writing short stories, predominantly fiction. I'm working on something new now. Hopefully it'll be longer. Novella, hopefully, or another novel, but that's like a whole other story. But yeah, so writing is my main game, but like Vince kind of said, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I enjoy movies too, but I'm not quite as skilled as Vince is, so.
Well. Potential screenwriter, we'll see. I'm actually curious, what's the difference between a novel and novella?
I think novellas are shorter, is what I've heard. Novels, I feel like, are more fleshed out, and novellas, at least the ones I've read, are like shorter versions of novels. So it's kind of like a longer short story, kind of an in-between short story novel.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I've heard that term thrown around a lot, and I just was like, what is that? Is it like the feminine version of a book or a novel?
Yeah, novella. La novella. El novel. No, yeah.
Cool. Well, like I said, I'm very excited to have you on the show, and we're going to get right into it. So, with the new year brings changes, so one thing that I'm going to change with the podcast is instead of doing the top 5 and then a topic of the week. I'm going to be doing the top 3 and a topic of the week, mainly because I've noticed recently when I get into these 5 stories, I get caught up with those with my special guest, and we don't have a lot of time to cover the topic of the week. And I've been trying to get these videos to be around 45 minutes to 55 minutes, but they usually come at like an hour and 27 minutes or an hour and 25 or 15, and it's a kind of a pain to edit because I have a lot of things going on in my life, so I only have time to edit 45 minutes of audio. This episode might be a special case because we're discussing very specific things that may take a while to... But so yeah, we're going to be doing top 3 instead of top 5, so we'll see how that goes. Might be difficult to pick 5 stories, or 3 stories, but who knows. Anyways, today we're not going to be talking about 3, we're going to be talking about only 1. And that's mainly because I didn't have anything prepared. I'm too busy celebrating with family and friends to really get into movie news and wanting to discuss it. But one thing that Rose and I have been talking about a lot is the newest Star Wars entry, Solo: A Star Wars Story, which I hopefully by the time you're listening to this, my Star Wars The Last Jedi review will be up with Rose on it.
Yay!
We talked for quite a while, 45 minutes,
Yes.
on that movie, so you guys can go check that out, hear our full thoughts on Star Wars The Last Jedi. We talked briefly about Solo and just our anticipation and kind of our fears for it. Like, I think I told Rose that first trailer has to really sell us on Alden Ehrenreich being Han Solo. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have a problem. So I guess we're just gonna talk about our thoughts going into this movie, especially after The Last Jedi, and all the production troubles that have resulted in this film. And seems like it's on track, but there are rumors circling that it might not be. So let's just get right into it. So this movie was originally directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who did the Lego Movie. And the Jump Street movies, all those. Have you seen those?
Yes. Pretty hilarious.
They're pretty funny, yeah. I believe what happened... I remember hearing about this news and oh my gosh, it was October or... No, I think it was July or something. I think it was July of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool because it was kind of announced in one full sweep, we're doing a Han Solo movie, there's going to be these guys attached to direct it. And then that's all we heard. It's I think it was the year, of course, The Force Awakens was coming out, so we were getting all these announcements on different Star Wars movies coming out, and that was going to be one of them. It is one of them. But it was announced so long ago, it doesn't even feel like it's... I feel like it's been in production forever, but
Mm-hmm.
It took forever to even find Alden Ehrenreich to play Han Solo. There were a lot of people up for the role, including, I can't remember their names, but the guy from Kingsman was up for it. The kid who was in Jurassic Park or not Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, the older kid, he was up for it at one point. My favorite pick was actually Ansel Elgort, who played Baby in Baby Driver. Did you see that movie?
Yes, great movie.
That's a great movie.
Great movie.
And he even kind of has some Han Solo isms in that movie. So
I can see him. Yeah, I can definitely see
that. He was my number 1 pick. But then you look at Alden Ehrenreich, and he doesn't strike me as Han Solo, but he's a good enough actor to where I think he could pull it off. I don't know if you've seen any of his work, but
yeah, what is he in specifically?
He was in Hail Caesar. He played the guy who's struggling with the line, with the torso. Did you see that scene?
No.
I'll have to show it to you when we're done. But he's in a couple movies, and he's kind of... I guess he's worked with the Hollywood elites like George Clooney and stuff like that. But we've yet to see him in a full-fledged role like this, so it'll be interesting. Of course, we flash forward to July of... No, not July. June, and we find out that Phil Lord and Chris Miller were fired from Han Solo, or the Solo Star Wars Story. And I actually remember it was the day after we wrapped Windfall Rising.
Oh, wow.
I was super tired. My mom and my sister were in town helping with the movie, and we were planning to go to Coronado for the weekend. and I just slept. They let me sleep till like noon. The first thing I get on my I've get Twitter notifications on my phone. The first thing I get on my phone is Han Solo movie in trouble. Director's fired. I'm like, what? No way. This can't be true. This is some sort of joke. It's like April Fools or something. And then I looked into it. It's like, nope. They were full on fired from that movie, and you get word that they were going off script. They were taking a much goofier comedic tone with the movie. That they were just making changes that weren't warranted by Kathleen Kennedy or Lucasfilm. Which to me, like, I was first thinking, like, why the hell would this even fly? Like, I thought going in, like, this was 2015, this movie was announced, and you're here 2017, the tail end of 2017, and you're saying that there's problems, like you weren't on the same page and you have to fire the directors. Like, it's weird, right?
Yeah, a little bit strange.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a long time to have that. I don't know if you think do you think there was a conflict in the beginning or do you think it just like progressed, or like
if there was a conflict in the beginning, it wasn't clear. I think it was a bold move to hire directors like these who are so enriched in their style. It was like, that's a great bold move for Lucasfilm, and I think it signified like positive like a positive future for Lucasfilm and Star Wars.
So do you think it's a step back then, like to fire them, or do you think that was like a right choice?
Well, here's the thing. I think it's a safe choice because they hired Ron Howard, who is an accomplished, good director. But the thing about Ron Howard is he has a history with George Lucas, with Kathleen Kennedy, with Lucasfilm. He directed Willow, which was a Lucasfilm production, and knowing that, it is kind of a safe choice to retreat to somebody who is safe and familiar. Like, they can trust Ron Howard to do what they want and then add his own unique style to it, but also making a classic-looking Star Wars film, which I understand you want to retain that classic Star Wars motif.
Authentic.
The authenticity, right. But at least the reason why I was so on board for the no pun intended, solo films, spin-off films, was because they were going to be different and daring and try different tones. Like Rogue One was supposed to be like a 1940s, 1960s John Wayne style war film, and I didn't get that vibe. It was boring. Like, I remember talking with my brother, and it's just like, the movie's not bad, it's just boring.
Right.
And the characters aren't interesting. And so that kind of, to me, just triggered a bad sign for the spin-off films. And with this, I thought, okay, well, they at least have Lord and Miller, they're going to do something unique. Then they get fired, and then you hear that they were going off script, and it's like, okay, I can understand them going off script and doing things that weren't in the script, because Star Wars films kind of hinge on that. They don't really, they don't thrive on improvisation,
right?
Which is understandable. But to have Ron Howard come in to specifically make a film that is authentically Star Wars doesn't seem like the purpose of the spin-offs, because they were supposed to explore different genres, and I was expecting this to be a little more, not silly, but like, I don't know what the
fun.
Yeah, more fun, and in a way that the saga hasn't been. Like, the saga is very much, it's set its own tone. It's like, it's deep and emotional, but it's also at the same time very fun and engaging and colorful at times. And this, I thought, was going to be like a little less reliant on drama.
Right, because Han Solo is a humorous character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he's not as
like
dramatic as...
Yeah, like a spaghetti western in space. Like Once Upon a Time in the West, or the Clint Eastwood movie, something like that, with a little more of a humorous spin on it. And I guess I'm still hoping for that. I'm hoping that Ron Howard retains that, but at the same time, it's a little concerning when you hear that Kathleen Kennedy just wants to play it safe. It's like, but I thought that's what you guys wanted to avoid with these films. It's just a little contradictory. I don't want to have the same type of film even with the spin-offs. Like we get authentic Star Wars with the saga films, which is why they should continue
Right.
after 9. With this, we want these spin-offs to be a little different. Like if they start like, I mean, I'll say it, if they start like riffing with guitars during the music, I wouldn't mind that because it's Solo. It seems like it's going to be a little edgier in terms of like the action, and I don't know, almost like that first Star Trek trailer for Star Trek Beyond, where they had the Beastie Boys song playing. I don't know if you've seen that, but I don't know why, but every time I thought about this movie, I got that Beastie Boys song stuck in my head. And I thought like that's what Han Solo probably should be. People might disagree with me, and people might be screaming at me right now, like, "You're such an idiot, Vince. Why would you even think like that?" Well, it's how I think, and I think I mean, those are the kind of risks that the spin-offs should be willing to take. They've kind of created a cushion for them to take those risks, I don't know, what do you think about all that?
Well, I agree. The whole idea of like the authentic Star Wars, I think we get like the black and white and the kind of good versus evil in those, and I think those are like a very reoccurrent theme. But I feel like with Han Solo, he's not so concerned with what's good and what's bad, and he's more willing to like cross the line, or like he's more of an interesting person, and I think it would be refreshing to see something different as far as tone and style, because I think Han Solo is different than like Luke Skywalker and like good and bad. And he has
like a Princess Leia movie and a Luke Skywalker. They would be totally different.
Right, agreed.
So I guess other nuggets to know about this movie is that, well, let's see. It's got a great cast. That's what it still has going for it, and most of those actors return for the reshoots with Ron Howard. As we mentioned, Alden Ehrenreich is returning. Nope, he's not returning because he was never there to begin with. Alden Ehrenreich is playing Han Solo, young Han Solo. Woody Harrelson is playing a mentor to him, which could possibly be the character's name is Beckett, and he's a criminal and Han's mentor, according to this information. So he might be a character from the now deemed Legend novels. We don't know for sure. Emilia Clarke is playing a character rumored to be named Kira, which is interesting because Kira was the original name of Rey.
Really?
When they were developing the Force Awakens, that was one of the first names they had for her. It was like her name was Kira, and Finn's name was going to be like Sam.
Oh,
but that was when they were like, I think they were developing as being like really young. Like I think they were going to be like 15 years old.
Oh wow!
So then they brought in like Lawrence Kasdan, and that's when the Force Awakens switched into what it is today. So that's another story altogether. Donald Glover is playing Lando Calrissian, which I'm mostly excited about because we haven't seen Lando.
Yeah, I love Lando.
Yeah, he's such a fun character, and I think it's a huge missed opportunity to not bring him back into the new trilogy. I mean, there's a chance we get him in 9, but the people have even been saying that like he should have been the code breaker in The Last Jedi, which would have been interesting. I don't think he would have betrayed. He would have betrayed Finn and Rose.
Yeah,
but
he did that once.
He would have did that once. I don't think he would have done it again, especially if he knew if it was Leia and the Resistance that he was helping. But it would have brought him into the fold, and he would have been embedded into the war with Leia. We would have had a scene where he reunites with Leia and even Luke, maybe. Again, missed opportunity, but what do we know? We're just fans. It's not like we love these things. Thady Newton, who is a British actress, I think she's playing. No, wait, is that an actress? Yes, it is. I think she's playing a droid.
Oh wow.
Or an alien. No, I'm sorry. It's Phoebe Waller-Bridge that's playing a droid. Which I guess it's like you have to have a droid in every Star Wars film now, which is fine, I guess. She'll probably be unique in some way. And then Juhans Sutamo, he started out playing Chewbacca on and off in The Force Awakens, helping out veteran actor Peter Mayhew. I can't believe I forgot that. I feel terrible now. Peter Mayhew, and he's been in the role since The Last Jedi, full time. So now he's returning to play Chewbacca in Solo. Paul Bettany is playing a character that was originally played by Michael K. Williams, but had to be reworked and recasted because of the reshoots problem. So we'll see what becomes of that. I guess there was a motion capture role that originally was played by Michael K. Williams, and now it's a human. Interesting. Would have been nice to see an alien, but oh well, who cares? I think that's really it. There's like some cameos, like these comic book Star Wars characters are going to be making their film debut, which is pretty exciting, I guess. Yeah, I guess just the most exciting thing is Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian for me, because Donald Glover is such a multi-talented, funny dude. His music, Childish Gambino, is occasionally can be a little against my particular taste, but he's talented. I'll give him that. I don't know if you listen to Childish Gambino or not.
No, I haven't heard it. What kind of music?
It's almost like soul rap. Sometimes it's rap. Sometimes it's like, I don't know. The album cover will give you a really weird vibe. It's hard to even describe. I'll have to show you when we're off this podcast. But here's a brief premise. Let's see. Themed as a space western, good sign. The film is centered on a young Han Solo, the roguish smuggler who later meets Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker in the Mos Eisley Cantina, and his adventures with the Wookiee partner Chewbacca, including their encounter with Lando Calrissian. So I don't know how recent that is, or if that's even official, but it looks like it's just going to cover the major chunks of his life. So maybe it's like a definitive, like, this is Solo from like birth till episode 4. Maybe it's like a chunk of his, because if this is successful, they're probably going to want to do like Solo 2, Solo 3, Solo 4, or maybe just Solo 3, because trilogies are a thing.
Yep, very true.
So, yeah, I guess I also heard a rumor recently that Disney's expecting this to fail. I don't think that's true. Disney doesn't fail, at least not anymore. And I don't think they would expect, especially a movie like this, to fail. I know it's got a lot of production troubles behind it, but I trust in Ron Howard. I trust in the creative team behind it. I think they're going to salvage together a decent, if not amazing, Han Solo movie. And I mean, if not, then I'm sorry for assuming otherwise. But yeah, I think I think that's what sparked the idea to do this, because it's like, that's ridiculous. Like, Disney's expecting it to fail. It's like people, the audience, Star Wars fans are expecting this to fail because of everything they're hearing. And I think it's just ridiculous. It's just like the expectations we were just talking about, which is also a video you can check out with me and Rose. It's just like people want to believe what they want to believe, and they won't allow for anything else. It's ridiculous.
Right. I don't think Disney would have put 2 years at least into this
if
they didn't think it'd succeed, especially getting new directors. They would have just like, we're done.
They would have shut down this thing faster than you could say Solo: A Star Wars Story 2. But yeah, I agree. It's not happening.
And I think they know that Disney, draws fans and makes money. So
course,
I think they're definitely like banking on fans to hopefully be behind this film. So
they are like the most profitable. I mean, they just bought Fox.
Yeah.
They are the most profitable studio out there. One theory I have is that they could debatably put the 20th Century Fox logo back on.
Oh.
Which would be cool. I mean, I honestly am a fan of the Lucasfilm logo, where it's just like dead silence and you see the shiny logo. It's pretty cool, but to have that fanfare back in there would be really cool. It's been part of all 6 movies, except for, with the exception of these. So that's wishful thinking, though. That's another conversation altogether. But anyways, to wrap this discussion up on Solo: A Star Wars Story, I think it's going to be good. I think the current rumor is that we're going to get a trailer during a football game on Sunday or Saturday, sometime this week.
Interesting.
So you can imagine we'll probably be having a conversation about that, and maybe a trailer reaction or two. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for this movie. I'm not worried a ton. I think there is there should be some skepticism reserved because this movie could easily be a bad sign, like Rogue One was, for me at least. But I think it's going to be fine. I trust in Ron Howard. He's a great director. He's made a lot of fantastic movies. This script is rumored to be the best script in Star Wars history, according to Lawrence Kasdan and Kathleen Kennedy and everybody else involved. So a lot of hype, but at the same time, a lot of tempered expectations, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts, Rose?
Well, and we've talked about there isn't even like a trailer yet, and it's comes out in May, so I feel like we've been waiting and like waiting and waiting, and so like you said, it kind of like plays with our like emotions in a sense because we were hearing all this stuff, but we're not like actually like experiencing it yet or even seeing it for ourselves, so it's kind of hard for us to like judge really how it's going to be yet. Yeah.
And that's another good point. Like, it comes out in May. It's like if there's any other bad sign out there, that's probably the biggest one because like we have 5 months and the marketing hasn't even begun for this. Like Infinity War comes out sooner. They started their marketing in late November, so
yeah,
we'll see. Like I said, I'm still optimistic, but tempered expectations. We'll find out when Solo: A Star Wars Story hits theaters on May 25th, 2018. Did I say May 18th earlier?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I must have been the 2018 that threw me off.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, May 5th,
Cool.
May 25th, May 25th, 2018. There, I said it. Okay, we didn't even need the Wikipedia page. All right, now we're moving on to our topic of the week, which is, so, as I said in the beginning, this is a Christmas episode. I've always wanted to do Christmas-themed videos, but December's always a relaxing time for me. I never get the time or the effort to because I'm just a couch potato during December, let's face it.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all, yeah.
And 10 pounds heavier.
10 pounds heavier.
Filled with cookies.
Amen
and
to that.
All sorts of good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But regardless to say, we've managed to muster up enough energy to create a top 10 list of Christmas movies. So I've actually had this list made a long time ago, I think. No, I'm sorry. I'm using Letterboxd, which is an app that is fantastic. If you don't have Letterboxd, it's a great list app that lets you create lists of movies, like your top 10 favorites or Christmas movies. Lets you log when you've seen a movie, how many times you've seen a movie. So, shameless plug. Check out Letterboxd. Anyways, I have my top 10 Christmas movies on this list here. Rose has hers listed out for her. We're just going to kind of go down the list and talk about why we like them so much and why they're such great Christmas movies. So let's get right into it. It's kind of be a little. We didn't really plan this out too well. She has movies in her list that I don't have. I have movies that she doesn't have. She has 9. I have 10. So we're just gonna kind of. I guess we'll go down my list and then we'll just pick and choose. So. It's not on my top 10 because it's on your list. We'll talk about it. Rose has on her list Home Alone, and was that your number 1?
I technically did not number them because it was really hard for me to like number them, but it is my favorite Christmas movie, so I suppose it is number 1 for me.
Let's just say that's your number 1.
Yeah, it's my number 1.
Yeah, that's my number 11 for me, just barely making the cut at all. But anyways, we'll talk about it. I mean, for those of you who don't know, it's about a kid who gets stuck in his house home alone for Christmas, and these robbers try to break into his house, and he has to take charge and defend it. It's a pretty hilarious and charming and sweet and somewhat emotional Christmas movie.
Yes.
So I guess since it's on your list and not on my list, why don't you lead the discussion?
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, just like one of the reasons I love it, I'm a huge John Williams fan, so like
amen.
Star Wars and all the other great things
Indiana
he does.
Jones,
yeah, Harry Potter I think too, and
Yeah.
Jaws. Yep, just a whole list
speaking
of
of that, again on the Han Solo thing, he's doing the theme song for that.
I heard that.
So that's a positive sign.
Yes. Go John Williams.
Yeah. From the composer of a Home Alone movie.
Yes, so that was my number 1. Like, music scores, John Williams. You can't go wrong.
Okay, yeah, sorry, continue.
So you can't go wrong with the music. it's just such like a cute story, and I think there's something about I don't know, just his character, the main character played by Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, sure. Kevin,
the
kid's name.
Yeah, so that, I don't know, he's just a lovable kid, I think, and I love his sibling interactions. I think we all can relate to, siblings we don't particularly like sometimes, although we end up loving them and missing them in the end.
We all have a Butch.
Yes, along with Butch. I love, like, the humor in there, like, one like, sentence I wrote down in particular, like I said, great one-liners, was Buzz's girlfriend, Woof. I don't know if you remember this scene.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He's in his room just like picking out different things.
Yeah, he's going through Buzz's stuff and he's looking through all his stuff, and then there's a picture of Buzz's girlfriend, and that just, my sister and I, as kids, we just like thought that was the most hilarious thing ever, and we probably used that on some people in real life, which is not good. I don't suggest doing that. But it's a great line, and just the humor throughout. And it's very family friendly too.
Definitely.
And I love the action scene at the end. I thought that was, I guess, some other Christmas movies at the time I'd watched, they don't really have that action kind of like climax at the end where like the thieves come in and he has a whole house like spread out.
Yeah.
I just like one thing after the other with there's like ornaments on the floor, and then there's even like glue, and then is it like feathers that get stuck to their face?
Yeah. It's just painful to watch, but it's
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, and paint cans and everything.
Paint cans, yeah. It's so iconic.
Yes.
Like that whole scene is just iconic, and that's where the sequels, in my opinion, failed. Because I mean, the second one is probably the most redeemable sequel because it's actually good. The other ones are like they don't even have the same kid, and they try to play on the same hijinks, but it's like, I don't know, you're just trying to do the same thing, but every time the kid's home alone, it doesn't really work. This one's just lightning in a bottle as far as I'm concerned. Because that whole array of things, the thing that gets me is the nail in the foot.
Oh,
I always just have to grab my foot because like, oh dear God in heaven, that looks like it hurts.
And it's coming down from downstairs. It's like a, I can't think of the word.
It's the
a clothes. No, it's like where you iron clothes. An iron. Oh my gosh,
iron. Yeah, hits him right in the face.
Iron that hits him like right in the face. Oh yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I watched a video, and it was on YouTube. It was these doctors like diagnosing all the injuries in the Home Alone movies, and it's like, yeah, he'd be dead. Like several things that the kid did, like they would be dead. It's just hilarious.
The like blowtorch or whatever.
Oh,
he opens
man.
the door. Oh.
That's one of my favorites. And yeah, Joe Pesci in this movie. Joe Pesci is one of my favorite actors of all time. And people have actually told me that I act and sound like Joe Pesci sometimes, which I guess is a compliment. You know what? No, that's a compliment. I like Joe Pesci. I'm going to take that as a compliment. But, and then Daniel Stern and Catherine O'Hare, and even the incredible John Candy makes a little cameo in there, and he's a family favorite of ours. Yeah, I mean, we could go on talking about this movie forever, but from the score to Chris Columbus's directing, John Hughes also read it. I didn't know that till looking at your notes. Of course, it's a great movie. But yeah, just so many iconic things about this film, and it's it's no wonder it made your number one.
Yeah,
because it's so great. I wish it would have made my list. I think it was on my list at the time. I think it was It's a Wonderful Life is what bumped it off, and that's, I mean, we'll get into that, but let's move on, I guess. I have my number 10 is A Christmas Story. Do you have that on your?
I have A Christmas Story. The old one.
No specific particular ranking.
Hold on, no, I was thinking Carol. No,
yeah,
sorry.
not Christmas Story. Christmas Story.
Yes, it did.
And that's no particular ranking.
Nah,
right?
I just went along with yours, so we wouldn't have to.
Rose is a little unorthodox when it comes to these things. It's all right. So yeah, Christmas Story, made in 1983, directed by Bob Clark. I think just the authenticity and the relying on the time period is what makes this movie the 1940s is what makes this movie so memorable for me, because like you hear, but like that's where kind of Christmas was really born. Like you have all these authentic songs from the 1940s. Most of the Christmas classics are from that time period,
Mm-hmm.
or at least originated from that time period. So it's just it's kind of like the home of Christmas in a way, and having it being portrayed in films like that is just super fun to watch. Of course, the actor playing Ralphie Parker was Peter Billingsley, who I believe was an elf.
Oh
So
wow,
that's a
that's
funny
cool.
little connection. He played Ming Ming, the elf who sort of gets on Buddy's case about the Etch a Sketches.
I did
Anyways,
not know that.
yeah, well, tribute. We'll get into that later, anyways. But Ralphie as an adult was voiced by Gene Shepard, the impeccable Gene Shepard, who I guess returned for the kind of sequel, My Summer Story and A Christmas Story 2. They actually made those, and I guess they're not good, just from what I hear. Anyways, just, and even just like the simplicity of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
A kid just wants a Christmas present. He wants something that he knows he's probably not going to get. A Red
Mm-hmm.
Ryder BB gun that'll shoot his eye out. It's just hilarious the the hijinks he gets into to try to make his parents get it. Like it's totally like plot centric. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's just the simplicity of it and the playfulness of it, and Ralphie as a kid, just like he tries so cleverly and devilishly to get his parents to get him this gift, and when he can't get his parents, he goes to Santa, and right when you think all hope is lost, he gets it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he almost shoots his eye
Yep.
out. But then he is able to cover by saying it's an ice. It's just continuously brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
and it's no wonder that it plays 24/7 on what is it, TBS or CBS or something.
Yeah.
And that's the tradition for my family too, is to watch that on Christmas Day, just 24/7.
Mm.
It's a fun movie to watch. It's one of my all time favorites, and I hope it never leaves this list. Because I love Christmas so much that there's going to be at least one movie that'll bump it off, maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll fight to keep it on the list. Yeah, wonderful movie. All right, my number 9, I don't think you have this one on yours, is Scrooged.
No.
And this is, just to clarify, this is not Christmas Story. This is not like Bill Murray's playing Scrooge. I've had people ask me that before. They simply take the term Scrooge and apply it to a story about a TV network executive who's just, I guess, a Scrooge. So, let's see, I have a synopsis right here. In the modern take on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, Frank Cross, Bill Murray, is a wildly successful television executive whose cold ambition and curmudgeonly nature has driven away the love of his life, Claire Phillips. I have a friend named Claire Phillips. That's really weird. Anyways, played by Karen Allen from Indiana Jones. But firing a staff member, Elliot Loudermilk, Bobcat Goldthwait, that's a weird name. On Christmas Eve, Frank is visited by a series of ghosts who give him a chance to reevaluate his actions and right the wrongs of his past. And I remember directed by Richard Donner, released in 1988, 80s classic, I think. And I remember watching this kind of being kind of curious because like I'd never seen the movie before. I was like, I always heard about it. I knew it was Bill Murray. It's like probably a win-win scenario, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't anticipate how emotional the end would be for me because Bill Murray is a really silly guy. Everything he
Mm-hmm.
does is just comedic gold. But there's this moment where he's on live television, like they're doing this Christmas special that he produced, and he's on live television talking about like just like sort of exclamating everything he's learned over the past couple hours, and it's just he gets emotional and he almost starts crying. Like in the
Aw.
movie, it's just like, oh my gosh, and I start crying. It's like this is supposed to be like a Ghostbustery stupid this Christmas comedy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got heart. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
what made it get on the list and beat Christmas Story. No offense to it, but it has genuine heart and it really makes you remember what Christmas time is about. And I can't remember the speech. I mean, it's been a while since I've watched this movie before, but um, I just remember being really taken aback by how it got me emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that Richard Donner directed it, and it was an '80s film, and you got Bill Murray and Karen Allen and Robert Meacham and Alfre Woodard before she really took off as an actress. Um, it's a great movie. It's a bit of a dark movie. I think a little scarier than, or maybe just as scary as Christmas Carol, but it's great. I love it. I don't think, have you seen this movie before?
No, I haven't at all.
Well,
I need to watch it though.
yeah, that's your homework for the next.
Okay.
Because you have a long break, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So
January 16th.
You know what to do then. All right. My number 8 is The Santa Claus. Do you have that on your list?
I don't think I've ever seen that either.
You've never? Oh my.
Or hold on, does it have Tim Allen?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen it. I've not seen it in a long time.
Okay. Well, The Santa Claus, directed by John Pasquin in 1994, the year before Toy Story came out. It's about Tim Allen plays Scott Calvin, a father who becomes Santa Claus. This was like one of the first Christmas movies I watched as a kid, and one of the first Disney Christmas films, I believe. And it's just like it's incredibly clever how they are able to combine the more whimsical and fantastical elements of the North Pole with reality. And it's kind of like what you were talking about with me about. I'm writing a script right now, and Rose is helping me out with it, and it's a sci-fi film. She talked about how, what is it that you said about like combining Earth and space, the worlds? Yeah,
I don't think many like stories do that very successfully, or even do that at all. Because like in Star Wars, for example, we see it mostly all set in space.
Right.
And I think, Vince does a really good job with his script of incorporating both like Earth and space. So I think there's a really cool dynamic, or kind of a cool idea of things that we know as far as like Earth, and things we don't know as far as space. And I think that's kind of maybe what...
That's the point I'm getting at, yeah. It's, and just the fact that they kind of work in the same movie, because most of it is grounded in reality, in I don't remember where they are specifically, but in their like suburban neighborhood with his normal job, working for a toy company and all that stuff. And the movie at its heart is about like belief, and really like putting your whole heart in believing something and not letting anybody else tell you different, or if the world's telling you one thing and you believe another thing, you just gotta kind of hold true to that belief, which could be put in any case, as a Christian, we're persecuted every day for our faith, and not just Christians, but and I mean other cases, people are persecuted for just having an opinion, and it's just kind of echoes that sort of timeless lesson of like, hold on to your beliefs.
Yeah, and I think that's one reason, although this movie didn't make Vince's list, the Polar Express, like the idea of like belief in Santa, and I thought that was really appealing from like a Christian standpoint, as far as like, well, we all still don't believe in Santa, I think it can have like applications other than just that like North Pole Santa beliefs.
Definitely. And just to close out on the Santa Claus, you got Tim Allen, one of my favorite comedians, and Judge Reynolds, David Krumholtz, who I thought was dead, and I found out he's not dead. One of those weird internet things that you think, oh, he's dead, and no, he's not. Sorry, David. And that sort of whimsical element combined with the more earthly elements segues into the Santa Claus 2 and even Santa Claus 3, which isn't a great movie, but I like Santa Claus 2, even though it didn't make the top 10, it's still a great movie. But and that's a good segue into the Polar Express, which it's not on my list, but I think we should talk about it anyways. So yeah, to talk about again what you're talking about with belief.
Yeah, the idea like it's like a golden ticket almost, it looks that, and then like Tom Hanks like punches it out behind his back. Yeah, it's like he's like
try your other pocket.
Yeah, the conductor. And yeah, I thought that's just like such a beautiful message. And then they, of course, like you can't go wrong with Josh Groban, and he sings like,
oh my gosh,
the song "Believe" in the movie, and I'm really into like clearly like John Williams, Josh Groban's like songs. And how they impact.
He didn't do the soundtrack for that, did he?
He did the Believe. I don't know if he did the other songs within it.
John Williams?
Josh Groban.
Okay.
I was just saying like John Williams and Josh Groban. As far as like
those are your things.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Definitely like songs and how that kind of works. And I don't know, this is more of a question for you because you're like into, animation and films. I saw it like when it first came out, and wasn't it like a newer animation, or was there something? Okay.
It was kind of from what I know, because I don't really know much, it was kind of the sort of the early days of motion capture or performance capture, because Tom Plains actually played the kid.
Okay.
And he played Santa Claus.
Oh.
And he plays the conductor.
See, I didn't. Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't voice the kid. That would be weird. Oh, he also voices the hobo on the roof of the train. So it was all sort of based around his performance of these multiple characters, and that's where the technological element comes in. That's where it's brilliant. Of course, today's standards, the animation kind of loses its magic, because obviously there's much better things today. But the story in itself is also what makes it a very strong movie. It's a great combination of effects and or spectacle and story. Which if you can combine those two, you've got yourself golden ticket. Yeah, I agree. Tom Hanks' performance is it's great. I mean, my friend and I were quoting the other day, just like, ha, ha, yeah, we got it. That's a great song. And then, yeah, Josh Groban's Believe. We were actually the same friend. We were singing that song on the car ride over to Disneyland. Ever so subtly mentioning Disneyland because, anyways, don't know why I said that, but it's just a great song. And it really, I mean, it's kind of hard to listen to because it kind of has, I don't like listening to sad, emotional things because it gets me crying because it is so beautiful. But, that's one of them I can, muster the tears just to sing it. I mean, it's just a fantastic song. And Josh Groban's voice is just, it's the voice of an angel. So, yeah, great pick. Great pick. Polar Express. Didn't make my list, but it made Rose's list, and that's all that matters. All right, my number 7, which you do have it on your list. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which, with the exception of this year, regrettably, I've watched almost every Christmas.
Yeah, same.
That I can retain, at least. I didn't watch it when I was a kid, obviously, because it's not a kid's movie.
It's a little more mature than some of the other movies that made our list.
I don't think lines like "the shitter's full" would bode well with my parents when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, or that whole spew of him cussing at his boss.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, great lines.
Where's the Tylenol? Yeah.
But yeah.
That's actually my favorite scene from
yes.
that movie.
Same.
Oh, I'm so terrible.
And the rockets are clear. That's my other one.
Oh, yeah. Just so many great... I mean, that's a good point. Just so many great comedic moments in these films. And this is funny, this franchise of, like, this dad, Clark Griswold, trying to make every holiday or every vacation just, like, the perfect and... It kind of reminds me of how I'm going to be when I'm a dad. Because I have like I feel like I have like a youthful charm to myself. And I don't know, I feel like I'm going to have that personality where I'm going to be like, kids, we're going to get in the car. We're going to go to this place. Like, Dad, would you stop? You're embarrassing us. Like, what? I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm too busy making a fool of myself. So, yeah. And he also has a Christmas spirit. So, and I like to think that I'm a huge Christmas fan. I have a lot of friends back in California who'd agree with that, so shout out to the MBAs. So, anyways, we're getting off topic, but yeah, the movie's just fantastic. I mean, of course, it's a sequel to the other vacation movies. As I mentioned, my favorite comedic moments in those films are where he's cursing out his boss, and where's the Tylenol, and he cuts off the little ball thing on the stairs.
Oh.
I don't remember what he calls it, but it's like the stairwell's fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so many great. And I think it kind of is a relatable movie because there are parents and people out there who act like that, and it's kind of nice to have these family films where you have these sort of character archetypes in like the grandparents and the uncles and the aunts and Clark and Beverly D'Angelo. They're relatable things like, the father sometimes, or even the mother, in my case, love you, Mom, it's a little, super passionate about the season and wants to make it really fun and do these traditional things, and I eat it up. I didn't get to watch this movie during Christmas time. Those of you who believe in the Epiphany, it's still Christmas until, there's 12 days of Christmas, so I'm not going to do the math right now, but it's still Christmas. Hopefully by the time this video is released too. But I didn't get to watch it during pre-Christmas time is what I'm trying to say. But I might try to sneak it in before I go back to California.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point with the relatives. I think we all can agree sometimes there are unwanted relatives or there are people who come and visit us. And I think it creates a really, like you said, kind of relatable atmosphere. We can find ourselves in those kind of like archetype characters, whether we're on the side of, oh, we love Christmas, or we're like, oh gosh, great mom, great dad.
Stop it.
Yeah, please stop. You're embarrassing all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you have any other thoughts on Christmas Vacation?
I think we just wrapped it up. I just love the humor. And I think the characters are all eccentric and are unique enough.
Yeah. As well as that like simplicity of kind of like with the Christmas Story. The simplicity of Clark just wanting to make a good Christmas and get his bonus. It's like those are kind of relatable things.
Right.
Same with Ralphie wanting a rifle for Christmas. So yeah, my number 7, and Rose is just her favorite. Number 6 on my list is the live-action version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which I guess has a lot of bad reviews from critics and audiences, which I don't understand because I grew up with this movie and I loved every second of it. And maybe it's because it takes away from the animated version.
Right.
Animated.
Cartoon version.
But I don't know. It baffled me because I watched it twice this year. I was like, this movie's just pure whimsy and joy and emotion even at times. And it's going to sound really weird, but the thing that gets me, I remember watching this movie like the week before Christmas, and I just started telling myself like, oh my gosh, there are no straight angles on anything in Whoville or on their clothing, or just like everything has like a round surface, their edges, but there's no straight lines at all. At least from what I could recall, and I was like, that is just incredible. Like that just, it's one of those filmmaker things where it's just like the amount of detail that had to go into making all that stuff, and yeah. Please excuse my filmmaker geeking out moment. But on that note, it's incredible. Jim Carrey's performance is incredible. Just he really like everything he does, he just sucks himself into the role and doesn't let go. And it's almost comparable to when he played Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon. Great documentary, by the way, about him getting into that role. But he just you can't see Jim Carrey. You just see the Grinch. And Cindy Lou Who and her element that she adds to the Grinch's arc in the movie, just it's the perfect feature film adaptation of this story. And I can't think of a better one except for the cartoon Grinch, which Rose has on her list.
Yeah.
So,
see, I grew up with the cartoon version, so my family is one of those families, like you said, who are like, a little more skeptical of the live action. And I have seen parts of it, but
there are some cool moments, I can admit. But also directed by Ron Howard. So if you're skeptical about Star Wars, just remember he directed the Grinch. It might not be reassuring for some of you, but it's reassuring for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Obviously it's based off like the Dr. Seuss book, and it's read directly from the book, just voiced by Boris Karloff, and he's really, I think, voice for Very that. Good. And I just love, I guess, the message. I don't know, you'll have to tell me this, whether the original message makes it into the not cartoon version.
The live action version.
Yeah, the live action version. Thank you. The whole idea with like, my favorite quote I wrote down, it came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came out without packages, boxes, or bags, and he puzzled and puzzled until his puzzler was sore. And then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. What if Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store? What if Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more? And so I don't know if that sentiment made it into the live action.
He actually says that word for word in the movie.
Nice.
There's some stuff they pulled directly from the book into the movie.
That's really nice.
And yeah, that whole theme just like echoes throughout the movie, especially more so with the Who's, like they learn, because the Grinch steals everything, and they're like,
right.
You can't take away Christmas because it's not about the gifts or the ribbons or anything like that. It's about family,
right?
So yeah, those themes are definitely present in the live action, and it's just such a great, timeless whimsical story.
It is. Regardless of how it's told.
Regardless of how it's told, I think both. I mean, I grew up with the animation as well. I just liked the live action. I just watched this one more. It's the only thing. But it's so great that they're even making another one.
Oh, really?
They're making like with Horton Hears a Who, and the Lorax are making another one of those, like, but with the Grinch. So
that's cool.
So I'm uber excited for it, despite what the naysayers will say. So yeah, Grinch Stole Christmas or the cartoon Grinch, both great. Now we're getting into the top 5. So my number 5 is 1946's It's a Wonderful Life, directed by Frank Capra, starring Jimmy Stewart, or James Stewart if you want to be formal, Donna Reed, Lionel Barrymore. I suck at names like that. But anyways, It's a Wonderful Life, and it's a great movie. I don't know if you've seen it before. Have you seen it?
I think I've seen parts of it. I know what it's about because it's so, like, iconic. So I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched it, but I kind of know the gist of the storyline.
Yeah, I've seen this maybe once as a kid. No, I saw the musical as a kid, and I had to leave in the middle of it. So all I remember my mom saying was, like, it's about a man who almost commits suicide and then has to realize that he wasn't born. I was like, should I be seeing this?
Yeah.
I was like 10 years old. Like, should I be seeing this about a man who almost commits suicide?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did Glenwood do a play on It's a Wonderful Life?
They did.
Okay, I was going to say,
I was in it.
I have seen that. So I have seen that.
It's funny. I have this terrible memory. It's not a terrible memory, but it's just embarrassing. But I'll say it because, why not? It's a good laugh. Because the play was, if I remember correctly, it was like a play, but it was like reenacting a radio drama of the play.
Right. It was like a reading almost, rather than like an acting.
And I didn't get that.
Oh.
I thought for the whole time we were just like, we have to be in character. We are the characters. We're not radio characters or anything. So I dressed up in my costume. I acted in that mindset. Because there's even a line where I think I played young George. I played Harry, George's brother. I remember a line saying, like, well, you couldn't want a better death, lots of pretty girls. And then I said, hey, I gotta run. And I actually ran off stage. And then it wasn't till like 2 years after doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. It wasn't real. The whole thing was a damn radio play. But I had a lot of fun memories making it, but or playing it, whatever. I didn't make it, but it was fun. It was just the I guess me trying to make it more real. But anyways, back to the movie. It's funny because it's not technically a Christmas movie. The first 2/3 of the movie don't take place during Christmas. They take place during like the summer and like the fall, and George sort of growing up and seeing his life sort of unravel before his eyes, and he's thinking like, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, or I lived a terrible life. And then during Christmas time, you see that he had a huge effect on other people, and that he is the reason why Bedford Falls is still standing. And it's just a very sweet sentiment and a very relatable one, and a timeless message that, your actions speak louder than you think. And, it's really great for just people contemplating suicide and thinking they're alone. It's like, sometimes you don't realize how many people you've really affected and how worse people would be if you were gone. So I encourage people to watch it, especially people who are struggling with suicide, just to remind themselves of like, you're loved by so many people. And I guess it goes without saying, it's just a fantastic, timeless movie, one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion. And with that, we'll move on. My number 4 is Michael Curtis's White Christmas from 1954, and I believe that's on your list as well.
Yes, it is.
All right, this should be fun. So, stacked cast: Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, Vera Ellen. Just so much fun. It's basically like your traditional like Judy Garland or Little Woman or Meet Me in St. Louis type musical movies, but it's a Christmas movie, and it's just the most charming thing ever.
It is.
I guess, sorry, I took the charge on Wonderful Life. You go and...
One of the favorite things I like, and this is maybe like specific to me, but I do know other girls who do this, the Sisters song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you and Catherine do this?
Sisters. Yeah, we know it pretty well. And I do know other girls who do that, so I'm not the only one out there. Yeah, it's so, like you said, it's such a classic. And the songs, the White Christmas, and yeah, just the whole idea too of it should snow on Christmas, because I don't know if you every year I am like, it needs to snow, like, and I know for sure like that came from this movie. So I think, I don't know if it had a precursor, or I'm not sure how that, like, the concept of it should snow on Christmas. But I know that's where it, you know, it originated for me, the idea of snow on Christmas from this film.
Yeah, I think the song came first, if I'm not mistaken, but I agree. Just like, there should at least be snow on the ground on Christmas time, if not snowing.
Right.
Lucky for us, it was actually snowing on Christmas this year, so...
Very nice. The past couple years here, like a couple days before Christmas, it snowed, and I'm like,
yeah,
yes!
It's great. I always rejoice when it starts snowing.
Yes.
But, yeah, just the scale of the musical numbers too. Just like I was saying, like the only musical I can think of right now is like Easter Parade or Meet Me in St. Louis with Judy Garland, both with Judy Garland, I believe. And that was actually kind of a Christmas movie too, because there's a scene where a little girl is tearing up the snowman in the yard because she doesn't want to leave her house. But it has that like feel to it, and it's just super. I don't know, words can't describe it. That's I'm having a loss of words right now, but I love the pairing of Rosemary Clooney and Bing Crosby. Of course, those of you who don't know, Rosemary Clooney is actually, I believe, a relative of George Clooney. I think she's his grandmother or great-grandmother. I'm not sure which one it is, but little movie trivia for you, and I always take pride in knowing that, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just the fact that they can combine, like, the scale of the big budget musicals back in the day with the Christmas theme, and, you know, the heart of the story is trying to give this general sort of sense of purpose, and just sort of wanting to do things for others, because, you know, the main characters are always trying to do things for other people, even when one of them is reluctant to do it. Like, Danny Kane's character wants to help the girls, and Bing Crosby, like, why did you do that? You gave them our tickets. And it just sort of snowballs into them doing kind things for everybody else. And it's just a great Christmas movie. It should be on all your lists. If not, there's something wrong with you. All right. My number 3 is Miracle on 34th Street, the remake. Directed by Les Mayfield from 1994, also the year before Toy Story came out. Starring Mara Wilson, Richard Attenborough from Jurassic Park, of course, Elizabeth Perkins, Dylan Dermont, J.T. Walsh, James Remar, Jennifer Morrison, and yeah, this movie I think is like one of the ultimate Christmas films, because it really encapsulates like everything that Christmas is about, from the giving to the sense of just wanting to do kind things for others, and that feeling of that, you know, Christmas kind of brings the feeling of just wanting to be nice in general. You know, in a world where we're always kind of constantly in a bad mood, or just people are just sort of curmudgeons or Grinches. Christmas kind of is sort of this time like, let's really make an effort to be kind to one another and wish each other Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, whatever you prefer. I prefer Merry Christmas, but
same.
Whatever, that's another conversation for another day. But and then just like we were talking about before, there's just the simple idea of belief and believing in something that deserves being believed in, and just the fight for the truth of Santa Claus, and again, sort of, you know, Santa Claus is a very whimsical character, and having him in this movie without any of those elements, just like, this is Santa if he was just spending a week before Christmas in New York, just chilling, doing whatever at Kohl's Christmas store, or was it Macy's? I don't remember. It doesn't say, but just having those elements and having him just Richard Attenborough, just super charming, and you just can't not like him. He just really captures the spirit of Santa Claus and Christmas in general. Gets me every time I see it. I'm regretting not watching it this year, just thinking about it. Has a fantastic score, one of the best Christmas movie scores I've ever heard. I'm just gonna move on because we're gonna talk about it forever. But just top 10, number 3, amazing. All right, my number 2 is A Charlie Brown Christmas, which I believe is on your list as well.
Yes, it is.
And is there anything else that
I think we're good.
Did we cover everything on your list?
I think so.
Oh, besides...
Cover those.
We can cover those, it's fine. We'll try and go through those really quick.
I'm like, yeah, we're running.
We got a lot, yeah.
We got a lot of time.
Oh, it's fine. I don't mind going over on this one. But A Charlie Brown Christmas, directed by Ben Mells. I'm not even going to try, but sorry. Yeah, this movie is just a all-time classic. And if you're a big Peanuts Charlie Brown fan like my family is, like I am personally, this movie is without a doubt on your list. It's just, again, it's one of the films that captures a true spirit of Christmas in a very probably controversial way nowadays. It's one of the only really films I have on my list that's about Christ. Because that is a true meaning of Christmas. That's what Christmas is all about, the birth of Christ. Whether you believe in Christ or not, that's beside the point. I mean, no, it's not. Never mind. If you don't like it, well, too bad. Anyways, just having a movie that really combines the season of Christmas and then the true meaning, like implying or implementing Christ's birth into it. You don't have a lot of movies that do that. I mean, you have like movies that'll try to like, oh, we set up a nativity scene here. It's like, okay, you acknowledge it, but you don't really put it into your movie as an element or a theme. But it's really nice to see the I guess commercialism of Christmas, for a more explicit term, and the true meaning of Christmas, and how they really, at the end of the movie, it's really what defines it, is that Christ's birth is what Christmas is about, and it's not this commercialism or this hype or the lights or the trees, albeit those are fun elements. That's what makes Christmas so great. But at the end of the day, it's about giving, and Christ giving to us the greatest gift of all. So,
and also the simplicity of it, kind of against the commercialism. And I think that's a theme throughout the entire thing, because Charlie Brown's like too much stuff, like, and he gets lost within all the stuff and all the commercialism. And he's like, what is the meaning? Like, he's unable to figure that out. And I think that's something a lot of people do, because I think it's really easy to miss that, like, nativity scene on the side.
The true meaning of Christmas,
because we're competing with so many other, stories at once. And so I think it's really nice, like you said, that it incorporates that, and like ultimately at the very end, it goes back to that like simplicity, and kind of also the idea of a little bit of an underdog with the Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And just kind of the simple things are sometimes the most meaningful and the best things in life.
Yeah, we actually have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree set up downstairs in our living room right now, so you can tell we're fans. All right, before we get to our number 1, my personal number 1 to be specific, just some honorable mentions I've watched this year, some new additions that didn't make the list because either terrible or just not that great. But I took a chance on some movies I saw. I saw both Bad Santa and Bad Santa 2. Lord have mercy, those movies are crude and just... wow. Never watching those again. But I will say the first one is at least has a great message about it's about a drunk who robs banks and masquerades as a Santa Claus. But it's got a great message just about like finding purpose in your life. Christmas is kind of a background theme to it. But Bad Santa 2, oh my gosh, that's just ugh. No way. Never again. Anyways, I also saw 2 Netflix originals. I think it was El Camino Christmas, which didn't end up being that great, as much as I hate to admit it. It was a nice little movie, but not that great. And then I also saw, oh my gosh, what's it called? It's kind of like a Hallmark movie, but Netflix decided to make a Hallmark movie. It's called, like, Christmas Inheritance. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's like this rich girl who inherits her father's company, has to do this company tradition of going to the small town where she grew up in and delivering these letters to a guy. She ends up getting stuck there, and it was, it was a Hallmark-esque movie, so it's like
a little cheesy.
little cheesy, but it's fun, I suppose. My mom liked it, so I guess there's that. Anyways, those are like the newer Christmas type movies that I've watched. But the number one movie that not that I've watched, the number one Christmas movie of all time for me, the one that I've watched twice this year and watched multiple times every Christmas, is Elf. I love this movie with every inch of my being. It's so just genius and funny and brilliant. Like, again, bringing up the meshing of worlds, there's this just super whimsical and just makeshift version of the North Pole that like relies on stop motion and miniature sets. It's just like ultra whimsical and goofy. Then you put a character from that element into the real world of New York, and just that's really what I mean. I know the comedy, it's really funny like all the way through, but the comedy really starts when Buddy gets to New York and he starts exploring New York and discovering it for the first time. It's just gut-bustingly hilarious. And touching on the message real quick, just I guess the message is just family, embracing your childlike qualities. Because the great thing about it is that Buddy has, Buddy's not good at making toys. He's not good at being an elf. The one thing he is great at is Christmas spirit and Christmas joy. And it's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life, where that really impacts so many people who hate the holiday season or just don't enjoy it or just have reasons for being down all the time. Like it impacts his father most of all, which is what saves Christmas and saves Santa eventually. It impacts Jovi. It impacts the Michael, his father's son, and it impacts the whole world. Like just that scene where they're all saying Santa Claus is coming to town. You see how that sort of bounces like a pinball, and it affects so many people, and so many people regain their Christmas spirit and their belief in Santa Claus. And it's just every, like, once you see Santa fully flying into the sky and the Clausometer's up to 100, it's just a beautiful moment, I think. It's truly captures the meaning of Christmas, despite lacking of, baby Jesus and Christ and all we just talked about. But that's why the Peanuts movie is on here too, or not the Peanuts movie, Charlie Brown Christmas is on here. But anyways, your thoughts?
It's really an identity thing, I think. He's struggling with his identity, and I think he has to go to a different place where he might seem at first like an outsider to really find where he belongs and his true identity. And part of that is, getting other people to believe, and I don't know, have you ever seen, it reminds me of the scene, like you said, with them, what is the song? I'm like, wait.
Oh, Santa Claus is Coming to Town?
Yes, yeah. Have you ever seen the, live Peter Pan? It's an older film where, Tinkerbell, they have to say, I do believe in fairies.
And she's being played by, the little spotlight.
And they have to, keep saying, I do believe in fairies. And then she, is alive because of the idea of belief. And I think that kind of, I always remember that, I love Peter Pan, but I always remember that when I watch Elf. Because of just that idea of belief. And it's very, similar with the idea that, our belief in something will prevent it from dying, ultimately.
Yeah. That's really cool. I never thought about it that way.
So, yeah.
Just incredible stuff. You have listed the elf spaghetti breakfast.
Yes. Favorite scene. When it's, chocolate sauce, maple syrup, marshmallows, Pop-Tarts, and pasta, and he literally, picks it up and, shoves it in his face, no utensils. I, haven't tried that, but I think, one of the things on my bucket list is to, do that.
I will take you up on that. That's been on my bucket list for just, first I want to try just, maple syrup with spaghetti, then I want to try like this everything.
You have to work your way up. I feel like you'd be in a sugar coma.
Oh my gosh!
After that,
I even have
So.
I have a mug, like an elf mug, and on the back of it, it's like you have the logo, then you have on the back, it's like the 4 main food groups: candies, candy cane, candy corn, and syrup.
Oh, nice.
And that's another thing. Like Jon Favreau, who directed it. First off, Jon Favreau is just a freaking genius of a filmmaker, as far as I'm concerned. One of my favorites, and he does such a great job at world building, like creating. Like, there's always so many different interpretations of Santa Claus and the North Pole, and he just makes a really original world of like just the simplicity of the North Pole being like this snow-covered area with like these lodges and the gray inside the gray wood grain inside the buildings and the simplicity of the elf costumes. It's just like genius, and it kind of helps to overplay sort of the grandness of New York. And Buddy experiencing that for the first time. So we can talk about this all day, but I want to make room for your honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions. I like all the old cartoons. I don't know what you call them. Animated.
The stop motion animated ones.
The Rudolph is one of my favorites, and I just like kind of with the idea of themes we've been going along, like the idea of misfits or not knowing your identity, and then being able to fit in somewhere in the island of misfit toys, and how they also, find their true place, and the idea of, Rudolph's red nose is different, and different is okay sometimes.
It saves Christmas.
Yes, so I kind of like that theme. And
Burl
the songs.
Ives.
Yes. Yep.
Burl Ives, just a master.
And then we kind of talked about this briefly, but like A Christmas Carol, message was one of the things I liked about that, giving, generosity of Christmas, and it's based on Charles Dickens' novel, and I enjoy Charles
Can't go wrong with
Dickens.
him.
So, and the whole idea of Scrooge is kind of like Grinch. I feel like very similar characters in
more
that
whimsical
sense.
Version.
So, yep.
Yeah, I love Christmas Carol with like, and it's not on here because there's so many versions. It's just like, you can't not love it. If it's not like figuratively number 1 on your list, then what's wrong with you? I did watch one this year I've never heard of or seen called Scrooge, and it was a musical version. And just my dream is to eventually one day make a live action Christmas Carol based on the Omaha Community Playhouse version.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I worked that for 2 years straight and just absolutely love that show. The idea of A Christmas Carol, and again, like its relevance towards Christmas, and just kind of like reinvigorating, your spirit, and the power of, as you put it, generosity and giving. Just great messages, and I wish I could put one on my list, but I just haven't found one that's like, this is like the definitive version for me. Maybe it's the Scrooge one that I saw. I had to watch the whole thing, but maybe next Christmas we'll figure that out. But I'm running down my list really quick. That was number 10, A Christmas Story. Number 9, Scrooged. Number 8, The Santa Claus. Number 7, Home Alone. Number 7, A Christmas Story. My goodness, I can't speak right now. Number 7, yeah, oh my gosh, it is late. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Number 6, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Number 5, It's a Wonderful Life. Number 4, White Christmas. Number 3, Miracle on 34th Street. Number 2, A Charlie Brown Christmas. And number 1, Elf. These have long names. Alrighty, well, as Rose said, it's getting late right now, and we're running out of breath. But those are our top 10 Christmas movies. That might change next year, might not, who knows, but yeah, it's a grand list. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Vince Salerno podcast, the Christmas-themed podcast. As I said, I'll be coming back this year with more brand new episodes, and hopefully more with Rose. But for now, this is the first one of 2018, and I wish you all, hope you're having a good New Year's and Merry Christmas, and let's not forget the true meaning of Christmas, which is the baby Jesus. Also, another honorable mention is a nativity story.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a Christmas tradition for me. We always watch it on Christmas Eve because, well, why not?
Right.
Unfortunately, didn't make the list, but maybe I'll do some readjusting between now and next year. Anyways, Rose, thank you for being on the show.
Of
Finally,
course, yes.
building it up for almost 2 years now, and you're finally on the podcast. Hopefully, we'll get you to come back very soon.
Sounds good.
Where can the people find you online?
Rose. I looked this up after. I was like, I really didn't know last time, so I'm gonna know. It's Rose Knows _, I think 15. And then if you search my name, Rose Deighton, kind of like Creighton if you watch sports. Anyway, it's spelled like that, kind of, like 8. Anyway, if you look my name up on Facebook or even Instagram, you can find me that way. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a Twitter, though, so...
It always helps.
Yeah.
You guys know where to find me, but specifically you can find me on Instagram at thebigview75_Vince and on Twitter at thebigview75. That'll do it for us, guys. Thank you so much. God bless. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you want to say. I prefer Merry Christmas. If you don't, get over it. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless and peace out.